Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a bullet time effect like in the game Fear, where everything slows down, all of the audio goes down in pitch, and then when we're done, it all comes back up. And this will work for basically any game. It's going to be really easy, and I can't wait to show you guys how to do it. For the most part, I just want to see what you guys come up with. Bullet time can also be referred to as just like regular slow-mo, right? So Max Payne is another game that pretty much coined bullet time, I think, right? It came from Max Payne. And the best example is the Matrix, obviously, and the Matrix games. The Matrix games all had bullet time and make massive use of it. So if you know a game that has bullet time in it, leave it in the comments, let me know. First of all, I am Rambo Games. I make Steam games like this Foddy and Rage game unaccessible, DJ Simulator, and Let Me Book, which is a totally awesome horror game. Game files for this will be on Patreon. Come and join. It's $5 a month and you get to download all of this stuff, heaps of good stuff, project files, game demos, etc. And you get your name in my video. So thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. Now let's get into it. Basically, open up your project, whatever project it is, it really doesn't matter. So in this game, what we just basically gamble. It's just, yeah, there we go. And if we don't gamble, then we die. And if we don't smoke cigarettes and drink beers, then we also die as well. What we want to do is go to preferably your player, and then we're going to just right click and add a child node. Just add a regular node, and we're going to call it bullet time node. Now we're going to create a script for it. We're basically going to need a couple variables, but before we do that, we're actually going to add a input map, and we're going to call it slowmo. So slowmo, add, and then down the bottom I'm going to click E because our key is going to be E. First, we're going to need to add a few export variables. So the first one is our slow time scale. That is how slow the game is going to get compared to our normal speed, which is 1. So this is 0.2. It's 1/5 of the regular speed. The normal time scale, which we're going to have there for convenience, as 1. And the lerp speed is just how quickly we into that speed from 1 and then back to 1 from 0.2. Next, we're going to add our pitch shift variables, just in case you don't want to have this turned on at any point in the game. We can turn that off because it can be a little bit annoying, obviously, if you don't want to do that. And then these are just going to be the same as that for convenience. We're going to write them there. And then next, we need to have our actual variables that change. So our current time scale and our current pitch scale. So next, we don't need ready. We can get rid of that. Everything's pretty much just going to happen inside of process. The first thing we've got to do inside of process is get our targets set up, basically. So we're going to set them to their default value, and then we're going to check to see if slow-mo is being held down, and then we're going to apply what it should be at its current lerp for each one of those variables, right? So in saying that, we're going to check here to see if slow-mo key is being held down, and then we're going to set that to our target slow time scale and our pitch scale. Next, we have to get our unscaled delta, which is like our delta, but it needs to be unscaled because we've got two sets of times running, right? We've got our slowed time and then we've got our regular time. So this is the unscaled delta. It's not being scaled, right? It's a little bit complicated to have to explain this, but it's going to ensure that when we go into time slow and out of time slow, it's going to take the same amount of time. So next thing we've got to do is got to set those targets. So the current time scale obviously is all of this stuff, and we're lerping it. And the next thing we need to do is do the same thing for the pitch as well. So we're going to set that to basically the exact same thing. Now, next thing is where the magic happens. This is the line of code that is actually changing our time scale within the engine itself. And then obviously next we have to do it for the pitch as well. So we check to see if enable pitch shift is on, and then we're going to set it through the audio server to what that current pitch is. Next, we just need to make sure that this goes back to normal if we ever remove it, when we ever remove it. Otherwise, who knows what kind of crazy stuff is going to happen. And now that is literally it. When we run our game, it should just work straight up. So we run around, we can hear the music. We hold down E, we hear the err. You hear that as I hit it? So we're going to hit a couple of these. So it's easy as that. Really cool. And what you probably want to do is actually add some visual effects on the screen to show the player that this is what's happening, right? And a way that we could do that is on our bullet time node, add a control here, go to our 2D vision. We're going to make it full screen. Then we are going to add a color rect. We'll make this full screen as well. So shader material here. Shader, we're going to go new shader. And then we're going to call this bullet time shader. Save that. And then we're going to hit create. Now, we've got to kind of choose an effect that we want. So I'm going to go find a radial blur shader off of godotshaders.com. So this one here is pretty cool. Thank you, Yusuf1233. A bullet time here. We're going to go over to the shader, and then I'm just going to paste that in. Cool. And then you can see here, when I zoom in, you can begin to see that radial blur actually working. Now, if I go back over to my code, there's just a couple things we've got to add. So obviously we need an export variable for that blowout. We're going to call it the blowout. Blowout. Maybe there's a better name for it, but blowout rect here. And then I'm going to go to this bullet time node, drag that blowout over here. So we're filling out that export variable. And the next thing we need to do, and I'm sure that this is not the most efficient way to do this, but it'll work for now. So we're just going to paste this little bit of code there, which basically says if the current timescale is less than 0.8, we're going to make that blowout visible. It should just work when we hit E. Everything goes bullet time like that. We can go to this shader parameter right here, and then we can turn up that intensity and maybe the fallout down a little bit so it affects sort of a bit more of the middle of the screen. And we could even turn these samples up, let's say just a 32. And now we're going to look at that. We run around, we hit E, it goes into full on time slow mode. And like if you really wanted, what you could do is you could lerp this intensity to that speed as well. So yeah, if you use this in a game, let me know. Drop it down there in the comments. Or if you know a game that has this and it's pulled it off really, really well. Fear is my favorite one. I absolutely love that game. Pretty much every iteration of it except for 3. I don't think I really played that one that much. Very cool. Really gotta finish this game. And then this guy takes the smoke out of your hand and he walks away with it. Perfect. Bullet time. So if you got any use out of this video, make sure you hit subscribe and like the video below. We just got over 1,000 subscribers, so I'm super duper happy. Let's get that number up to 2,000 as soon as we possibly can. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'll see you guys on the next one.